One, two, three.
Sir?
Right here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's great.
Shots.
Thank you very much.
All right, heads up.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Today we're going to discuss some of the enhanced security measures we have in place for the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly. I'd like to welcome our law enforcement partners here today, and in a moment you'll hear from each of them. Patrick Freeney, Special Agent in charge of the New York Field Office of the United States Secret Service. Keith Byrne, Special Agent in charge of the New York Field Office of the State Department's Diplomatic Security Service. And Nick Brown, Chief of the United Nations Police. Then you'll hear from NYPD Chief of Transportation Kim Royster, who will discuss the traffic situation in Midtown and beyond, and then we'll take your questions. The massive preparation that goes into security events of this size and magnitude are a large part of what we work on each day in New York City. And while it's nothing new for us at the NYPD or our partner agencies, certainly there are special considerations to be made when you have the President of the United States and nearly 200 other world leaders and many of their top diplomats all descending on the same location at the same time. Part of that, of course, is monitoring and assessing a very fluid threat stream. And I can tell you that at the present time, there are no specific or credible threats to UNGA 77 or to New York City in general. Nevertheless, we ask everyone to remain vigilant at all times. If anyone sees or hears anything suspicious, something that doesn't look right or doesn't feel right, we ask that you call 911 or alert a police officer right away so we can investigate. That's how we can keep the entire city safe this week, next week, and all throughout the year, by sharing the responsibility for public safety. From a law enforcement standpoint, the planning for this year's UNGA has been in the works since shortly after the conclusion of last year's event. There will be hundreds of motorcades moving around the city, sometimes simultaneously. There will be security checkpoints. There will be street closures, detours, and other driving restrictions, including unannounced traffic freezes. It's a balance we strike each year because our plans are focused on minimizing, as much as possible, the impact all of this will have on New Yorkers and on the city's vehicular and pedestrian traffic. So we highly recommend that when you're coming into work or just visiting the city in the coming days, please take public transportation, which will be the quickest and safest way around the anticipated gridlock. There are many other ways we're keeping people safe during UNGA too, with much the public will see, as well as much the public will not see. In fact, a lot of that work will be going on right here in this room, our Joint Operations Center, where representatives from our city, state, and federal colleagues will be situated. The bottom line is, everyone will be on the same page, and everyone will know exactly what's going on all of the time and in real time. And I'm confident that again this year, we're going to have one of the best attended and best protected events in one of the safest cities in the entire world. I'd now like to introduce Patrick Freeney from the United States Secret Service. Pat?
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patrick Freeney. I'm the Special Agent in charge of the New York Field Office for the United States Secret Service. For the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly, I've had the distinct privilege of working alongside Chief Corey and the entire New York City Police Department team for this global event. The General Assembly is one of the highest profile events in the world given the ever-changing diplomatic landscape. Furthermore, the United Nations General Assembly also presents as the largest protective event for the Secret Service on an annual basis. Since 2018, the General Assembly has been designated as a National Special Security event by the Secretary of Homeland Security. National Special Security events are designated due to a number of reasons: the size of the event, the significance of the event, and the anticipated attendance by dignitaries. This special designation is given to leverage the full weight, talent, and resources of the United States federal government and our state and local partners. This year's General Assembly is shaping up to be one of the larger General Assemblies in recent years. As of today, we are anticipating approximately 140 heads of state, heads of government in attendance. To put that in context, approximately 80 heads of state, head of government attended last year's assembly. While the number of visiting dignitaries is impressive, so is the preparation for this event. Our special agents and mission support teams have been planning, training, and working in conjunction with the New York City Police Department on the logistics and security plans for several months. Our primary purpose is to ensure the highest level of safety and security for this great city and the visiting heads of state and government. Understanding the presence of a significant number of world leaders in New York City will undoubtedly impact the people of New York. The goal of the Secret Service and our partners is to provide the most secure environment while minimizing the impact and inconveniences to residents and businesses. In closing, I'd like to thank Chief Corey and the members of the New York City Police Department, Director Mick Brown for the United Nations Safety and Security Service, and Keith Byrne, the Special Agent in charge of the New York Field Office of the Diplomatic Security Service, as well as the many others who have worked tirelessly in the planning for this event. This is truly a collaborative effort, and I'm thankful for their continued partnership. I'd like now to turn it over to Special Agent in charge Keith Byrne, Diplomatic Security Service. Thank you.
Good afternoon again. I am Keith Byrne. I'm the Special Agent in charge, New York Field Office, U.S. Department of State, Diplomatic Security Service. On behalf of the Diplomatic Security Service, I'd like to sincerely thank the NYPD, the United States Secret Service, the United Nations Department of Safety and Security, and all of our fellow federal, state, and local law enforcement and emergency first responder partners for their close collaboration and support in order to create a safe environment for the 77th United Nations General Assembly. Through our collective effort, it is our goal to provide a secure platform to advance U.S. foreign policy and national security interests. The Diplomatic Security Service will have more than 750 employees on the ground, to include assistance from the U.S. Marshal Service and the ATF to bolster its protective security operations. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mick Brown, Chief of Safety and Security at UN Headquarters. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mick Brown. I'm the Chief of Security at United Nations Headquarters. Chief Corey, thank you for your very kind invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. The 300-strong United Nations Security and Safety Service has been engaged over the past number of months in an intensive cycle of planning and preparation for this year's General Assembly. Central to this planning effort and critical to the successful execution of next week's security operation is the cooperation and collaboration we receive from all our law enforcement partners. In this regard, I would like to offer my sincere appreciation to Commissioner Sewell, Chief Corey, and the NYPD for their outstanding support, not only at the time of the General Assembly, but indeed throughout the entire year. To our federal partners, especially U.S. Secret Service, U.S. Department of State, I also wish to express my thanks, as I do to all the other New York State and New York City agencies who play such a significant role in this major operation. Ensuring that the largest annual global gathering of heads of state and government takes place in a safe and secure manner is a true multi-agency effort, and the UN Security and Safety Service is very proud to be part of that. Thank you, and I'd like to hand over to Chief Royster, NYPD.
Thank you, Chief Brown. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Chief Kim Royster, the Chief of the NYPD's Transportation Bureau. Once again, world leaders will be gathering at the 77th United Nations Assembly, and we are working tirelessly to ensure that all roads and highways remain safe during this event. We began implementing multiple road closures, detours, and checkpoints in the Midtown area. That means 42nd Street to 57th Street, 1st Avenue to 5th Avenue will be affected. The 1st Avenue tunnel will remain open. However, there are some specific closures that I would like to bring to your attention. 1st Avenue upper roadway from 42nd Street to 48th Street will be closed. Western 2, on the left lane, bicycles will be allowed to go northbound only. The right lane, passenger vehicles will be allowed. However, no trucks will be permitted in this area. On the Eastern Tube, both lanes will be open to passenger vehicles and city buses. And again, no trucks will be permitted in this area. On 42nd Street, between 1st Avenue and 2nd Avenue, only vehicles authorized to enter that location will be granted access after passing through a security checkpoint. You will start to see NYPD traffic agents and police officers deployed at intersections to ensure that the traffic is fluid while protecting the safe passage of pedestrians and bicyclists. If you must drive or make deliveries in the area, we advise you to avoid the area during the hours of 6 a.m. through 7 p.m. As we work tirelessly together to make sure the highest level of security and efficiency is done, we strongly encourage New Yorkers and visitors to plan ahead, use alternate routes, and use mass transit if they plan to visit the areas. We will also be leveraging our social media platforms to make sure the public are aware of these closures. Thank you very much.
Questions?
Dan Ridley, you know what? I think it's fair to say some years the world is more at peace than others, and this year you have war in Ukraine, Azerbaijan, it's attack in Armenia. When there is conflict happening, how does that change the strategy? Anything specific to say that the security here have to adapt?
You know, the threat stream and the environment on the ground changes not only year to year, minutes, hour to hour. It really changes minute to minute. It changes in real time. And we adapt to all of it as it goes on to changing conditions. I mean, you talk about the world at peace, but there's always a certain amount of disharmony in the world. Our goal is to work together with all of our federal partners to provide a safe event for everyone, to keep New York City safe as we do, and to keep everyone visiting the city safe, whether they're tourists coming in for vacation or visiting foreign dignitary. We have robust plans, and we're going to keep everybody safe.
Tom Tracy, Daily News.
To follow up on that, along with all the stuff that's happening at the United Nations, there's always regular protests and marches in regards to UNGA. How many protests are you guys going to be handling next week, and how many, and what are you prepared to do? How is that going to happen?
So, we don't have a number of protests that are going to be handled, that are going to take place. Obviously, no permit is required for one to express their First Amendment rights. Protests at the UN are typically in the area around Dagenham Plaza. There are typically numerous protests that take place every day. They are large, they are loud, but they are otherwise peaceful. And all of our officers are trained on how to handle those and how to police those effectively and efficiently.
John Doyle.
So again, nothing that we've picked up on yet, but unsurprising. I mean, there's going to be a variety of protests, and a lot of those are going to be geared on who's speaking at the UN on a particular day and what the protest message is, and we have strategies in place to handle all of them to allow people to express their First Amendment rights, but at the same time protect the rights of others and prevent further disruption of the city.
Tom Winter?
Chief Warrior, Chief Galati, people assume we're out of Afghanistan, ISIS propaganda is down. We're kind of the threats now. What are you paying attention to, and where are you trying to stay sharp based on that on this side?
I'll take that one.
Sure. We are constantly monitoring the threat stream, not just from the NYPD Intelligence Bureau, but we're working very closely with the FBI and all our federal partners, constantly evaluating what we have coming out. And although, the propaganda is down, there's still a lot of propaganda coming out, so we're paying a lot of attention to that. And, we deploy according to what we're seeing in the threat stream.
Also, obviously, more heads of state to protect, more staffing needed, right? More disruption, more motorcades moving around than we had last year, than we had the year before. This is the largest UN event we've had in a number of years, but it's really more typical of what it was, just a few years ago. So it's something we're certainly prepared for, something that we're experienced in, and we'll handle it.
Christine Wilson.
That's more of a local question. For people that live in that New York City area, are they going to have to show any type of identification to get into their apartments? I know in this past it's been difficult to live in that area right by the UN, just get out of your apartment and go to work.
Yeah, there are various times that some streets may be frozen and restricted to only residents or people who have legitimate business. As a general rule, pedestrians would be able to come and go. Vehicles are restricted, but there will be times that we would, people would need to establish that they have a legitimate reason to be there, and we do communicate that out in advance. So messages are given to the buildings, largely apartment buildings over there, letting them know in advance that this is going to take place. You might if it's during one of those times that there's a complete freeze in place.
Martha Dennis, Fox Network.
Some of the heads of state who do more work is that obviously the president and special operations.
Yeah, just, listen, in terms of the, the threat picture, what's going on globally in the world, protectees fall into different categories. So some require more resources than others in order to protect and keep them safe. You mentioned the president. Obviously, our president gets everything that we have to protect the president. There are other foreign heads of state that require more resources because of different things going on, because of the threat stream, perhaps, than other world leaders do.
Mark Morales, CNN.
Yeah, so we don't discuss the security arrangements for any particular nation. We said some of them just get larger motorcades or more resources assigned to them than others do. I'm sorry, Mark, I can't hear you. Nothing. We plan for every contingency, right? So regardless of what that is, and again, there are no credible threats against this. We get out there, we make sure that everything works well, and we do that as a shared responsibility with the public. So we ask people, you see something, say something. Something doesn't feel right, something doesn't sit right with you, somebody looks to be acting a little suspiciously, something looks like it doesn't belong there. Nobody knows their neighborhoods better than New Yorkers do. And that's right, whether you live here, work here, play here, the places you frequent, you notice when something is out of place or someone is out of place. Let us know. There'll be a lot of police officers out there. Flag that police officer down or call 911. Let us come and check it out. That is everywhere, right? Anywhere in the city, you see something, and that's every day. It's not just now. We're asking people to be a little extra vigilant in the coming week, but all throughout the year, this is something we ask people to do.
I'm going to take two more. Johnny Fernandez, ABC 7.
So I know this is a couple of days that you guys are going to be focused on this. After Monday, after the piece, there's a specific day you guys are going to be focused on. Because the role leaders will be leaving London, heading here. Is there a specific day that you guys are going to be specifically focused on?
So we start implementing those traffic freezes that Kim Royster was talking about, that frozen zone, that perimeter, that starts to go up on Monday. Right, so that's when we're really concentrating, is from Monday forward. We do have people in town right now. They've already begun arriving, and we are protecting them, but those really, the big week, if you will, starts on Monday.
All right, this will be our last question. Craig McCarthy.
Hey, so the last project that issue with the camera, in some ways, it's the data a little bit. Sometimes you guys want to sleep in that area to make sure that all the cameras are running and there's no time just in case something were to happen.
Yeah, so we check our cameras all the time now, right? Our cameras get checked every day, and anytime we have a large special event, and the UNGA is certainly no exception, we supplement camera coverage. We look for where there might be gaps. We put up temporary cameras to cover the event. If a camera is out of service and we can't repair it quickly, we make sure we supplement it with something else.
All right, thank you everyone for your time and attention.